Welcome to the Recruitment Edge podcast with me, your host, Ez Khan. Now, I have managed multiple recruitment agencies myself across a number of sectors. I've managed teams of in excess of 60, and I've managed small agency teams in my own recruitment business as well. And in the last few years, I've trained in excess of 3,000 consultants and leaders across Australia and New Zealand. Welcome to this week's episode. It's our first one under our new name, the Recruitment Edge podcast. So hopefully you enjoy it. What we're covering off in today's session, team, is one of the areas of recruitment that at the moment is the most requested for training. Now, we have trained, as I said, thousands of recruiters in the last few years, and over the last, I would say, 10 months, 90% of our training has been around business development. And more specifically, how do you get your team more engaged in business development? Now, from an agency side, I totally get it. We hear this a lot from agency leaders saying, my team don't do enough BD. We need to get them on the phones, etc., etc., etc. We need to get them out to meet more clients. And whilst that may be true for the success of the agency, when we're speaking to the consultants, there's a few key themes that come about. The first one is consultants have tried to do more BD. Maybe not as at the volume that you as the leader want them to or expect them to, but they are trying. What the blockers they're being faced with, the first one is clients are not answering their calls. I mean, when we look at us as consumers, how often do we screen calls? So the first hurdle is clients are not answering their calls. Second to that is at the moment, almost every single recruiter has been tasked to do more BD. So there's a whole volume going out to market at the moment by way of reverse markets, e-shots, candidate mailers. A lot of email and LinkedIn campaigns are going out by your competitors, and there's a lot of noise. So consultants are struggling with how to actually stand out and get clients even on the phone, let alone getting them committed to meeting with them in person. But what I would say is almost every single recruiter knows that their success depends on a strong level of business development. And whether that's calls, that's client meetings, we all know this as salespeople that is going to lead to success. So a few things that I would recommend, and we've only got 10-minute episodes in this podcast, so we can't cover off everything. For me, where this needs some development, or where people need some development or coaching on, is uncovering their blockers. Now, I hear this all the time. There's so many things that I hear when it comes to BD blockers. One of the first things is, no one's answering the calls, Ez. And my response to that is always, I will 100% believe you if you can tell me for the last 3 weeks you've done X amount of calls, you can tell me you've left X amount of voicemails and how many people you're connected to. And I would say, if your job is requiring you to win work at the moment and you don't have a lot on, 100 outbound calls in 2 days is not a bad starting point. Because we know a lot of people will screen your calls. You'll have to send voicemails or text messages as follow-up, so that's fine. But of 100, you should be able to get through to, I would say, 10% of people. So that then equates to 10 BD calls, realistically, for 100 outbound. If those calls are then not moving through to clients engaged or going to meet with you, then I would say there's a challenge or development needed on the content of your call. But I would say that's a different episode. The content of your calls and client meetings is a completely different ballgame. But the biggest challenge for me is volume. So many people have convinced themselves that calls don't work. No one answers the phone in my market. It's not a market where people answer their calls, and so they tell themselves that calls are not the one. And they then default to all other types of communication, emails, LinkedIn messages, texts. And whilst those are fine for follow-ups, personally, that's not where you'll see success. The success will happen when you're engaged with another human being one-on-one and you're able to talk to them, you're able to uncover their challenges, you're able to hear their tone and move the call in the direction that it needs. That's where you'll get success from BD, but that only happens in a one-on-one interaction. And so if you are someone who's convinced themselves that calls don't work in your space, please just check in with yourself and ask yourself, have I done enough volume of these in the last 4 weeks for me to genuinely ascertain calls don't work for me? Because I would say if you've tried 100 dial outs every single day for the last 4 weeks and you've had no success, literally no one's answering, you've got 2 or 3 calls connected, then I would also then agree with you, calls are not your vibe. But that, for me, is very rarely the case. And I work with healthcare agencies, business support agencies, specialist agencies, exec search firms. You name it, we work with them. Calls do work. They just require effort. And I know it's so much easier to send emails. That is so much easier to send mass emails and personalise them using AI. That's amazing, but that's what your competitors are doing. And when everyone in the market has been tasked with doing more BD, there's a lot of noise by way of email channels, LinkedIn, socials. The real way you can stand out is actually engage with another human being one-on-one. So steps I would take for you to do this effectively, and I will cover content of these calls in a different session, but I feel like step 1 is actually just getting a good rhythm going. Step 1 for me would be work out who you're trying to engage with. Rather than going in blind and just calling anyone, I would structure your list with existing clients. And yes, you have to do BD with your existing clients because unless you have all of their business, there is BD to be done. So I'd start with those. I would have lapsed clients, people that used to use you but no longer in the last year. Then I would go hot prospects that you may have had some interaction with but no real sort of traction with. I would go with clients that historically have given you work and you haven't filled it. You should have enough people to actually start your business development engagement with. From here, team, I would be structuring this as a goal that's beyond a couple of hours call time, because that's not going to help you. A couple of hours here and there will not help you from a consistency and BD success perspective. So I would go minimum an hour a day where you do nothing else other than sit down and make calls for a whole hour. If someone doesn't answer, you move on. You leave them a message, you move on. You write a quick shorthand note on a paper so that you can write it up at the end of the hour rather than using the hour to write notes. I would be being methodical with the notes that you're writing on the system. And if you've left a message, add a note, because what you want to do is to be able to circle back in 2 days' time to do a follow-up call, because most people will need a couple of follow-up calls before they answer your call. I would be doing that personally for the next 4 weeks. And over time, what you will start to see happen is 2 things. 1, more clients will start answering your calls because you're being consistent. You'll be following up with calls. Eventually, they'll start answering. 2, the fear of BD will be removed from you because you're doing enough volume of it. Once that's happened, team, then you can start going, I need to refine the content of my calls. But if you're not doing enough volume, actually just focusing on quality of your call, on a few here and there calls, is not actually going to make you enough money or give you enough success. So I would start with do volume, have a process in place, and at the end of the 4-week mark, I can guarantee you will have seen success just by simply doing that one thing. And we've been working with a lot of agencies lately on one-on-one training when it comes to BD calls. And I can see it. The first 20 minutes are uncomfortable for everyone. I'm in the office, I'm asking everyone to pull their lists and make calls with me hovering over. Everyone gets nervous at the start. But what I always see happen is 20 minutes in, the office is buzzing. People are celebrating successes. They're getting client meetings immediately. They're getting terms of business sent out. They're re-engaging with old customers. And honestly, it's not over a few period of weeks. It's usually in that first training session in the office with them. And most people go, shit, you know what, Ez, we haven't been doing enough of this. So please try it. I know it sounds simple and super basic, but this is what will get you results. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions at all, please reach out. I know business development is very unique for everyone. It's based on who you are as a person, how you engage, your client base, but the fundamentals remain the same. Business development is you engaging with another individual and influencing them. And for me, that starts with calls. I will see you all for next week's episode. Hope you enjoyed.